When I was about 8, he had a coronary, which I think is now you would have bypass surgery for that.
Right.
You know, it's
Yep.
a heart disease. And I remember our whole lives changed because he was that sort of, he was a Virgo and he was very sort of particular about things, and we were the first people in our street to eat margarine. I just want you to know that.
Really?
Yeah,
What?
Not butter, margarine.
Really?
Because it had less fat. And he was amazing, and he was exercising because he'd been a surfer all his life and a golf player, very good golfer. And he was a businessman, one of the sort of businessmen that kept everything in his head. He owned a motor trimming business, which is all the insides of cars and boats and things like that. But he was golfing in Sydney. I was at the dancing competitions in Ballarat with my mum, and we got a phone call, or the police arrived at the hotel to tell us that he died on the golf course. But he was winning. That's the worst thing. Yes, so he had a heart attack on the golf course.
So it was out of the blue?
Yeah.
Shit.
But in those days, when you had a coronary, they would say to you, I found this out much later, you've got 6 to 10 years. And he died about 7 years after the coronary.
So that knock at the door, that is so full on. It's almost like a movie moment.
Yes. We were staying in a hotel in Ballarat, and the police came and I remember we were in a hotel room and they came to the door and they asked to see Mum, and then friends of hers had driven up to Ballarat, like a couple, friends of hers, and they drove us home, and I still can remember being in the car on the way home and her being so upset. I have to say, even though I was terribly upset because I loved my father, at 14 you get over those things much easier than I think. My mother never really recovered from it, I don't think.
Oh, how would you?
I think that's my phone that just did that.
So unprofessional of you.
I told that girl over there to tell me to I'm so sorry. That's me. Bring it over here. Oh my God. This is I'm sorry. Am I causing problems? Oh my Lord. I'm so sorry.
So phone's off?
Yes, but oh my God, Steven Spielberg was so upset that I couldn't answer him.
Steven Spielberg?
Yes.
You're going over to La La Land?
Oh, me and thousands of others. Oh yes, I work with a lot of young people who just think it's,
It's going to be easy. He's going to
get over there and they're going to call, yeah. And I've been waiting for 65 years, and except for that call.
I can't believe you finally called and you're at my house.
Exactly.
I'm so thrilled.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back because we were talking about your father passing before.
Yes,
Spielberg.
we were, sorry.
So it's serious stuff.
Yeah,
now you're making me look like a bitch because I'm smiling while we're talking about your father.
No, okay.
But you were saying you had travelled home after you got the news that your father had passed. And it didn't affect you that much, but your mother never recovered.
Well, when I say it didn't affect me, of course I was upset at the time, but I do remember, I had a couple of days off school because it was during the school holidays, it was in September, and I remember going back to school and people being sorry for me and nuns praying for me and all that sort of stuff. But basically it's that thing of youth. It's like my boys, you do get over it. Whereas my mother, he was the love of her life, and she I don't think she ever really sort of recovered from it. She sort of became a little bit agoraphobic and lived her life even more through me.
Right. Which,
looking back, the counsellors have now told me that was quite smothering of her to do. But I didn't feel it at the time.
Yeah,
so I'm not going to worry about it really.
No, it's funny though when you go to counselling when you're older and everything goes back to your childhood.
Yes.
And you go, how am I going to filter through this? I was 5 when I made that decision.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it is interesting because I was a person that always thought the people who went to counselling were just pussies.
Right, yeah.
But when my marriage broke up, which is a long time later after my father died, when my second marriage broke up, I didn't feel that I could talk to anybody about it, and so I went to a counsellor, and I used to go and see him every Friday for 4 years. Poor man. All I ever did was shout at him, scream at him.
Really?
Yep, then pay him and then leave. And we're still quite good mates now. I mean, I don't go anymore, but I always send him a letter at Christmas time telling him how I am and everything.
So you know his age, because I go to counselling and I said to my counsellor, so where do you live? And she just goes, oh, by the beach. And I was like, oh, I've crossed the line. Because you get so comfortable with them, you almost think you're mates. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, this is like a prostitution kind of thing where I'm paying you. And I think we're close, but we're not.
I know, exactly. Because I remember when I was in counselling, I was doing Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, the musical at the time. And he wanted to see it because he said that because that part of my life was really together and the rest of my life was all a shambles.
Yeah.
And so he said, and I said, oh, we can have a drink afterwards. And he went, no, I don't think that's a good idea. And I went, oh, sorry, I crossed the line. I'm not trying to get on with you or anything.